Well, hello everyone. This is going to be another deck profile from Midwest DBS. I meant to upload it earlier, but kind of ran out of some time, and I'm doing this solo, so I don't even have my helper with me. So we'll try to get this done. So I went to locals on Saturday and played Frieza Prison. I've always wanted to play it. I never played the deck once, and I just wanted to give it a shot. Um, I generally have been playing uh, Shinjita or Harudegarn style decks, or Shinron Reanimator, and wanted to give something else a try. So we did Frieza, and I ended up actually going second overall. I'll go over my matchups a little bit later, but we'll just go through the deck. So the leader on the front side allows you to look at the top 5 cards from the top of your deck. You can choose one red extra card for among them and put it into your hand, and then shuffle your deck. When he awakens, you have to be at 4 or less life, and he's a draw 2 leader. So a lot of times what you're doing, you're just sitting on the board and you're just plussing off the top 5, getting extra cards, and not really swinging too often with this leader. At third leader, a lot of times he's only swinging if he's trying to swing down to kill battle cards. On the flip side, he also has the ability to just draw 1 card. So kind of like on the other side, he just pluses without actually attacking a leader. You can basically do the same thing on the reverse side. The other difference on the reverse side is that you may choose 1 Frieza army card from your hand and place it in your drop, and you can negate the attack. And basically, you can negate an attack by placing a red Frieza army card from your hand in your drop, but then you can only do it once per turn. So we'll go over a couple of the card selections. So first off, we did Saiyan Teamwork, or not Saiyan Teamwork, sorry. Playing other cards. Kaba's Awakening. This basically kind of has to be your. It's kind of acts as a super combo, kind of, because it's a 0 cost, because you're not allowed to use super combo. So I do this as a 4 of. What it is, just to activate battle, you choose one of your cards and it gains an additional 6,000 power for the turn. So a lot of times that card is just fending off their leader attacks at 10k, or if their leader card's at 15, swinging at your 10k leader or 15k leader, just to keep your life total high. And also with battle cards that are 10 or 15k. A lot of times when swinging with 20k, you're not using that as often because you have to dump more cards. A lot of times right there, you're using just a negate for that. This, the Final Guardian, I played as a 1 of. Basically, it's a counterattack. It negates your opponent's attack. And then what you can do is replay it from your drop later by removing a card in your hand and sending it to the warp. So it's just like a negate you can use early and a negate you can use later on top of your leader's negates. Because a lot of times you're just negating a lot of attacks to keep your life total high. Transcendent Strike I played as a 2 of. This card was okay. I charged his energy a couple times. A couple times it saw some use, but when it did see some use, it was pretty good. Basically, Barrier is annoying, but what it does is it'll pop a battle card with 20,000 power or less and KO it. And cards that cannot be KO'd are quite annoying too. I played 2 Paralysis Technique. Paralysis Technique, excuse me. This is a counterattack, and what it does, it just negates the attack, and then if your leader card is a red Frieza army, which ours is, you get to choose your opponent's leader and all of their battle cards, and they get a minus 5,000 power for the duration of turn. Yeah, that's right, for the duration of turn. So a lot of times you can use this just to negate their first attack, and it makes a lot of their other attacks not as well. Even if it doesn't kill the battle cards, taking a minus 5,000 for the duration of turn can just shut down a lot of decks and make them where they would normally attack, not attack, or if they do have to attack, they'll have to waste cards to combo. Another one that we run is 3. Is that all you got? This card I did use quite a bit. I would actually say for enjoy time, I just use it to negate an attack. There were a couple times where I got to pop 2 battle cards and negate an attack, but I think a lot of people were ready for that, so they were kind of playing around it, but it still did come into use. I think once or twice, through the event. So overall, I would say this card is 3 of, it might even be a 4 of in some circumstances. Of course, after image technique, one of the better cards. So we are running this definitely as a 4 of. Uh, it's a counterattack, but it doesn't necessarily negate the attack, but essentially that it does, because basically you get to give one of your cards or your leader. Don't forget, it doesn't always have to be your leader. It could be one of your other battle cards. It gets 40,000 power for the duration of turn, and then you get to choose one of your opponent's cards and it gets 10,000 power. Sorry, the plus 40 is just for the duration of battle. It's the minus 10 that's for the duration of turn. So once again, this basically stop attack, pop a card, and it also could be for free. If you hit the Sparking 5 and you're tapped out, there were times where I had to use this. You just pay a life instead, and then you get to basically stop an attack. Another good card that should definitely be added 4 of is Denial of Hope. This is your counterplay, and basically what this does, if your leader card is red, which it is, if the battle card in your opponent's is playing as 20,000 power or less, it just plays in its opponent's drop area instead of being put into play. So Denial of Hope is essentially, I would say, one of the better counterplays in the game. There are a couple, I would say some of the multicolor ones are better, but by multicolor ones, I mean like Vegeta the Cruel and Chomp the Trickster and those type. But being in this style of deck, you really can't do that, so you just have to go with Denial of Hope, and it works just fine. The big build around for the deck is Live to Fight Another Day, which also, it's a card you want to see, so I recommend it as a 4 of. It's just really good. All this does most times is you're playing it out, and it just makes your opponent pass their turn. Only if they're really pressuring you and think they can get game are they going to play through it, and then when they do, they have to drop 3 cards from their hand. So if the card they're playing is 20,000 power or less. So there was a situation where this didn't make the guy drop 3 cards because he thought he could play through it, but it ended up him dropping those 3 cards basically hurt him quite a bit, and I was able to close out the game afterwards. He could not kill me that turn. Some decks aren't running this. I changed some of the battle cards just to test some different stuff. I am running 2 Dark Duo Deborah. I like it pretty good. Well, it's pretty good off the chain attack. I am running chain attack Bobbity. A lot of times just another target you can get. And I wanted to fit in a couple more zero cost 5k combos because I noticed a lot of the times the deck gets clogged up with a lot of 1 cost 10k. So I added him as a 2 of. And there were a couple times I actually just played him out. Just paid forward, played him out, and nabbed 2 cards. And he would just sit back, not attack until I was going for a game. And every time this guy actually grabbed battle cards, except for one match, I did develop a big board and get Kami. That was against Toa. I actually still took that match, but every other game, when he took the cards, they just stayed underneath them. Chain Attack Trunks is a really good card. It's utilized in a lot of red decks. The main target for this Chain Attack Trunks is the evil Wizard Bobbity, which I will show here in a little bit. Now, the evil Wizard Bobbity allows you to look at your top 7, and basically you get to take 2 cards out of your top 7 and put them into play directly. But this allows you to do it a lot quicker, or do it while leaving energy up instead of paying the full cost of the 6 for the Bobbity. I played 4 of Quick Shift Berry Blue because a lot of times with this deck, you don't want to have your bombs in your hand. And what this allows you to do, it's a 1 cost 10k combo. So you can combo with it, put 2 cards in your hand back into your deck, shuffle, then draw 2. Because you don't want to get stuck with your bombs in your hand because you want them in your deck for when you Bobbity. Try to speed this up a little bit. A lot of people already know what this deck does. Next, we're playing this card. This card is basically used as another way to net some advantage when you're trying to. It really doesn't net you advantage, but what it does is it's a 1-drop 10k combo. A lot of times, just doing that. And what it does is when you combo with it, you get to take 1 of your red extra cards and put it back in your hand. So it just keeps the negate train rolling when you're trying to survive. A card that I used to play as a 3 or 4 of, but I did drop the 2 because I want to try those other 2 Deborahs, was Umbral Blade Deborah. Now this card is really good because, let me get a little closer. If you read it, when you have the Easel Wizard Bobbity in play, which a lot of times you're playing this off your Mind Control Bobbity, this card gains a plus 10,000 dual attack. And it's already double strike. So it's a 35,000 dual attack double strike. So he can be a game closer off your Mind Control Bobbity. This is Mind Control Bobbity. And basically, a lot of times you're trying to chain attack into this. And then when you do, you basically look at your top 7 cards. And you get to grab 2 red cards from among them with 20,000 power or less. And then you get to put them directly into play and then shuffle your deck. And sometimes you can Bobbity. You can chain attack into a Bobbity. Find another chain attack into another Bobbity. And do it again. And really develop like a wide board going for the kill. Now there's a big change I wanted to test out. And I tested it out. Normally, I don't even run this card. Normally, I run 4 of the Kaioken, but I wanted to try this out. Overall, it was fine. There were some times where it came into play and did a lot of work. Sometimes just by attacking a battle card and just forcing them to drop 2 cards. So sometimes I would just swing at a battle card. They'd automatically have to drop 2 cards and send them to the warp. And then I would also tack down a battle card, which is pretty good because it just come in and deal 3 cards immediately. And it actually set me up for a game win against a really hard matchup, which I'll explain later. And of course, the bad boy, the evil man, Kaioken, Goku. It wasn't a 4. It was fine as a 3 of. I saw it enough as a 3 of in this deck. But I probably will bump it back up to 4 and maybe just run 1 of the Vegeta. I just wanted to try out the Vegeta and just see how it worked. This card is just bonkers busted. It allows you to see your opponent's hand, take what cards you want from their hand, and then when you go down to 1 life, against triple attack and dual attack. Now, the important thing is to make sure you set yourself to 1 life. Because you have to set yourself to 1 life for that to trigger. If you're at 1 life already and this just comes out, it doesn't get those cool effects. Also, SCR, Frieza Army Reborn, I did close out a game with this. So, when it normally is energy, but 1 game it did close out a game. So basically I'll go over my matchups really quick. Round 1 I played against Pan, and against Pan, I basically was able to chain together Live to Fight Another Days, which is this card. And after chaining 3 of these together, it shut down a lot of what he wanted to do. And I was able to chain attack Bobbity out 2 Kaioken Gokus and just, yeah, it hurt him pretty bad. Round 2 was against Skillus. Now, Skillus was a really hard fight. He ended up able to keep all of his Kid Gokus off the board with simple cards like this, Transcendent Strike. A lot of these negates that just neg. He was never able to establish his Kid Goku and do that. So what he ended up being able to do is just hard cast 2 30k beaters, which this deck has a lot of trouble killing a 30k beater. So we ended up going back and forth. I ended up having to negate a lot of attacks. And I tried earlier in the game, when he was on this side, to sneak in 2 attacks, which actually gave him cards in hand at the time. I didn't know if I really wanted to do it, but I went ahead and did it. Because it ended up being at the end, he was at 6 life, and I put him to 6. And it ended up being pretty relevant because the way I closed out the game was, there came a point where he had 2 cards in hand. I was able to swing in with this. So he automatically had to drop the 2 cards. So he couldn't out combo it. And then he got to take 2 cards off his life because it is double strike. And then basically that put him to 4 life. And he had 2 cards in his hand. But then I was able to summon this that turn. And then out of the 2 cards, if he had a negate, I would just take it away. And then I swung for gaming. Beat him. So basically, the only way he could have got out of this is if he basically ripped 2 negates off his life, which it generally plays 4 power burst, and the chances of him drawing 2 off his life are very slim. He could have, but I felt pretty comfortable just going in after playing this, and he ended up not drawing any negates, so this closed out the game. Round 3 was against Toa. Toa was pretty back and forth. Toa was trying to play a hand control game, but somehow in the game he slipped up with his mirror account and was not able to get the ball rolling and get the 7-drop mirror out till far too late. And he ended up having to just like summon mirrors just with Overwhelm to try to pressure me. And it basically that ended up with the chain attack into 2 Kaiokens, and I took that game. But I actually had a big board at one point after Babidi, and he wiped it with the Kami, so the game prolonged longer. And actually, the second Babidi I had to just play from hand, but it still was able to develop enough pressure to beat him. Last game I played against Michael, who was playing the Namekians deck. I posted that deck profile earlier. It was back and forth, but once he was able to develop 2, I forget the Piccolo, but it's in there. It's the barrier one. It's a 4-drop barrier, 20k, and he was just able to keep pressuring me with those, and I wasn't able to deal with them. They have barrier, and I just wasn't able to remove him. And after going back and forth for a while, he was able to close out the game. Well, that's it. I will have deck list up again, at least 1 or 2 this Saturday. That's it. Goodbye.